and welcome everybody to the Middle Grades Conference on this day, January 29th, 2022. I hope everybody's staying warm. My name is Don Taylor, and I'm hosting this session, and I'm going to welcome Kaylee and Melissa to present their work in just a second. For folks who are just joining, the slideshow is in the chat, and I'm also going to just put a Courageous Conversations reminder in the chat, and if folks could review that very quickly. Again, we are recording the session. I thank everybody for showing up on this Saturday. Really appreciate it. Kaylee and Melissa, thank you also for participating and doing all the hard work. And Meg, do you want to introduce yourself just real quick? Meg is my co-host.
Sure. Good morning, Meg O'Donnell, and just happy to be here with you, and good to see some familiar faces.
Okay, everybody. So Meg and I will be monitoring the chat. If you have questions, as those come up, we'll take care of those. And presenting today, building community and engagement through advisory, are Kaylee and Melissa, and I'm just going to turn it over to you folks. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Don and Meg. Hi, everybody. We're glad you could come to our presentation. Seems like it's been so long since we got together over the summer, but I will share my screen with you all. And if you didn't get the link in the chat, I can send it again if you want to follow along with our presentation. All right, just double checking that everybody can see our presentation.
Yes, looks good.
All right. So welcome again. We are two teachers that teach at Crossett Brook Middle School on a 5th grade team. And our project is all about building community and engagement through advisory. And we'll introduce ourselves. I'm Kaylee. I teach math and science at Crossett Brook, and this is my 4th year teaching, also my 4th year at Crossett Brook.
Okay, I am Melissa Greenwood. I co-teach with Kaylee. I teach language arts and social studies. This is my 2nd year at Crossett Brook Middle School. So entering into our 2nd year working together, Kaylee and I were looking at getting brand new students to our building, incoming 5th graders. So making that shift from elementary school to middle school, kind of a big deal. We were going to have a new team with a new name. We would be new teachers to them. These students are coming into a brand new building. We saw it as an opportunity to really start something meaningful and powerful and put some structure in place for them, hoping for a really strong community, I guess, feel to our team. The picture we included on here was the winner of our Team Phoenix logo design. Students were able to, I don't know, come up with their own design, their own logo, and then we voted on them based on the number, and that's printed on our t-shirts and our sweatshirts. And I believe every single student has a piece, an article of clothing that has this design.
So over the summer when we were together at MGI, we definitely wanted to come up with some specific goals to have in mind, just of how we wanted to go about this project. And I think our main focus was to come up with just a set time and a set routine for a morning meeting. In the past, Crossett Brook has had advisory groups put in place for all students, 5th through 8th grade. And I think this year, for various reasons, COVID being one of them, 5th and 6th graders no longer have advisory with 7th and 8th graders. And it was kind of left up to us as team teachers, kind of how we wanted to set that up within our core schedule for the day. So, most of our project was based around that and kind of creating a time where we could all meet together in homeroom groups, but also building a team community and then creating a set of norms that our students would agree to, to follow throughout the year. So that's what we spent a lot of time doing this year and still continuing to work on it. Some of the pictures included here, we'll talk about more later, but we've been on several team hikes together near our school, and every morning during that homeroom time includes some sort of circle or share or activity, and we'll share more about those activities later.
Okay, so here was, this was our research question for our project. How does implementing a predictable, structured morning meeting provide a foundation for student engagement and positive school community? So this is what drove our project and what we were really looking to see what happened with our predictable, structured morning meeting. And then this we found as a powerful quote from MGI when Kaylee and I were doing the work, and this came from one of our resources, our many resources, the purpose of advisory. So this spoke to us, and we included this in our paper and kept referring back to it. The theory of advisory programs builds on the idea that as students enter adolescence and their need to build healthy relationships with school staff grows. Research points to many positive outcomes for students who have a personal connection to their education. They are more likely to have stronger academic outcomes, better attendance, higher academic expectations, positive self-concept, and make healthier social and lifestyle choices.
So like Melissa said, we did feel like that was a really powerful quote, and we really wanted to make sure that the time that we were taking to put into this advisory, we were kind of choosing things that would be helpful for our students with this new transition. So here are some of the things that we have included so far in our morning meeting routine. It was also up to us kind of when we decided to do it, but it definitely made sense to do right at the start of the day. So every morning from 8:30 to 9, we spend some time together in homeroom, usual things like attendance and announcements and going over our daily schedule. But we also tried to incorporate a lot of other activities that students could be a part of. So we started with every day doing some type of circle where all students gathered in a circle and we have a talking piece. We talk about that responsibility, sharing responsibility of I have the power of the talking piece. It's my turn to speak, working on communicating with one another, working on listening to one another. And it was always a would you rather questions, which they had a lot of fun with that. But it was definitely hard for them to choose just one option as middle schoolers do. But and then we started to expand a little bit and incorporate a different activity every day. So Mondays are always a share. Could be any share about your weekend or really anything they want to share. Tuesdays, we always do a greeting. Wednesdays, we've been starting to focus on mindfulness, which I think has been helpful. I think it's not easy for all of them. And they don't have a lot of experience with what mindfulness is and how it, how they can use those skills in the classroom. Thursdays, we continue our Would You Rather circles. And then Fridays, we've started sharing a meme of the day, which they really enjoy. Some other things we've incorporated into this time are, we spend a lot of time coming up with our team norms. We'll do team challenges and activities. We do a read aloud, which is honestly one of my favorite parts of the day. And then we also have classroom jobs that students are actually really excited about taking part in. So those are just some of the pieces of our morning meeting that we've ended up with at this point. It's been really nice.
All right, I think this is something Kaylee and I came up with and put this together. I think it was a hope and maybe I don't know. I think based on everything we read, it seems like it's true. When students feel safe and develop a sense of belonging, they are more likely to flourish academically, physically, socially, and emotionally. Yeah, kind of our mantra.
I do think in many ways, we talk about community a lot. Like I think Waterbury, where we're from, where our students are from, is a pretty tight-knit, close community, but we also wanted to focus on our classroom community and just our team community in general. And that involved us doing a lot of different projects and activities and things throughout the year. Right at the beginning of the year, we decided we want to start doing things together as a whole group. As much as we could, even though we have two separate homeroom groups. So one of the first things we did just a few weeks into school is we took a hike. It involved no transportation. It involved, a few other staff members coming along with us, which was wonderful. Our principal came, we had special educators come, we had really anybody who was interested came with us, and we walked. It wasn't even too far away from our school, and there was this lovely hike that we could go on with our students. And we've now done this several times throughout the year, and hopefully we can do it again in the spring. It was so much fun. Some other activities we've done are, I think Melissa mentioned before, our team t-shirt design. We had this wonderful logo contest where any student that wanted to could submit a design, and then we voted on what we wanted for our t-shirts. And then we added a motto, and we designed our t-shirts, and we, it was a process that everybody was involved in. We've done a lot of other activities around community and identity. So these puzzle piece projects that were hanging on our bulletin board for quite a while, just trying to do things together as much as possible.
Right, so we were trying to really focus on students understanding that yes, they are individuals, but they can still bring something to the group. I know that was a big idea behind the puzzle pieces. We appreciate all the individual characteristics, but as a team, who are we collectively as a team? Okay, so the beginning of our year, we took a step back from academics and we really focused on that idea. Like, okay, who are we as individuals, and how can we all come together to achieve common goals? And I guess that's where a lot of these team challenges came up. We would present them with a challenge, and they would have to figure out a way to work together as a group to achieve the goal. The best part, watching them attempt all these challenges was fun too, but afterwards, after each challenge, that there was that reflection time. How do we reflect first in a way that's not, bringing up individual students and what their individual weaknesses or strengths or challenges were? How do we talk about and reflect on a team challenge without making anyone feel bad? So the reflecting part was great. What worked, what didn't work, how can we get better? It was always about how can we as a group get better? Yeah, these were a couple of our challenges. Students had a lot of fun with these, I think.
One of the last pieces that we did as like a big project was creating a set of team norms. This was a much longer process, to be honest, than I think I anticipated. It just involved so many steps and so many days of kind of sorting through, like, what are all of these things that we want to agree to follow this year, and students came up with the whole list. There's a lot of narrowing down, there was a lot of sticky notes and chart paper and, adding everybody's ideas. And finally we came up with a final product, which is hanging on the wall outside in between our classrooms so that we can see it every day. And students created, little on a piece of paper their own signature, like I am agreeing to this. These are the things that I think are important for us. And it was based off of like our whole school system: safe, kind, responsible, respectful. But they came up with such wonderful ideas and they did it together. So we love our team norms.
Yeah, I think the big question was, how do we want to be together? What do we want that to look like, sound like, feel like? We decided to put this slide in because we learned kind of early on, students really needed this. We, as a group, really needed those reminders of, wait a minute, all these different things that we're trying to achieve, whether it's being in a classroom or walking to the cafeteria or transitioning from one class to another. We really needed to be reminded about what all of those things should look like and sound like and feel like if we are to connect them to our norms of how we said we wanted to be together. So we said we wanted to be together a certain way, but then when we got to actually moving around the school, those things weren't coming, they weren't clearly happening. So we needed to break things down a little bit for them and all of us, right? Like, how we said we want to be together this way. So here's what I noticed, you know, how can we get better? So those were kind of the common threads, and we're still doing them today. You know, how do we want to be together? Remember, this is how we said we want to be together. How do we really make that happen in all these individual areas? So we've done lots of Y charts and we refer to them.
All right, I will say this piece I think is the hardest for me, because it's hard for me to reflect on all of the things that we've done throughout the year and kind of say, okay, now what do we do next? Like, you know, where is all this, now that we have all of this information, how do we use it? But I think, you know, most of the data that we have collected so far throughout the year just is from our own observations and how we've been interacting with students and how our team has been getting along and how they're able to kind of exist in the same space every day, which like Melissa said, can sometimes be really hard, you know, when they're 10 years old and 11 years old, from student work and different activities. And we did also give students 2 surveys this year. They were the same exact survey, pretty much. And one of them was close to the start of the school year, the 3rd week of school, and the other one was just most recently in December. And so we do have some feedback from those surveys that we'll talk about. And it was really interesting to see how things have changed from the start of the school year to now, and kind of how that helps us move forward to what we want to think about next.
This was an unexpected finding that just evolved and developed. Students took things on, initiated certain things, asked if they're, hey, can we do these things? And they have since just taken over, which is great. So students asked about starting a newspaper. And they designed the different jobs. They developed their own set of norms. How do we want to be when we're together? So they've taken a lot of those ideas from the larger group and have implemented them in their newspaper. So I think we have 9 issues now of our school newspaper, our team newspaper. Also, there was a student who was not so engaged and was just having a little bit of difficulty, I don't know, maybe expressing herself or finding a way to be part of our team. And Kaylee and I offered the bulletin board. We said, hey, we have this bulletin board and we could do like a monthly thing with that. Do you have any ideas for October? And then it started with October, and then I think it moved into November, and they've done one each month. So she enlisted some other people, some other students saw what was happening, and they were included in the project. So yeah, and then of course, once the holidays came around, it was their idea, we have to do a gift exchange. which was turned out really nice. They had a nice time with that.
So I talked about the survey before that we had given students twice so far. And we asked them various questions. I think there is a link posted on the other slide to the survey that we gave them, if anybody wants to look at those. But one of the questions that we asked students that I think we looked at carefully was this question: I believe that teachers and students respect my ideas and opinions, which I think is very important if we're looking at, how our team cooperates as part of a community and how things are going in general. And the results were, I guess I didn't really know what to expect from the results. Around the third week of school, the vast majority of students said, yes, I agree with this. I do think things are going well. I think my teachers and other students in my class respect my opinion. There were some students that voted kind of in the middle. They're like, yeah, I think the most part. And about the same amount that said, not right now. But around December, things did change a little bit. I think more students were kind of in the middle. Fewer students disagreed, so I guess that's good. But still, the majority of students do feel like that's true. We did note, students were really good about leaving notes if they wanted to explain more about their response. And we were finding that some students, more than one, detailed their response saying that I believe my teachers respect my ideas and opinions, but maybe had a different view about other students in their class. So I think it would be good to do these more and get their opinions in a way that, these surveys were anonymous if students wanted them to be, but just collecting data. So, about throughout the year about how things are going. We will have the same students next year, which I think is wonderful because we can continue to build this community during our homeroom times and, keep working on these things.
And same kind of idea with this question. Question 6 was, Miss Viennes and Miss Greenwood make you feel welcome and accepted as a member of this team? And it was, you either agree or disagree. And I guess the third week of school, I guess we can talk about that later, what we would change or what we would do differently. But yeah, it looks like now students feel like we are accepting them as a member of this team, but clearly I think we have to work on the members of our team and feeling that way with each other. Yeah.
So going forward, I think we have so many ideas about kind of what we might do next or what we might continue to do if it's going well. I think we have put a lot of things in place to kind of help support this. So one of the things that I think we have spent a lot of time doing during our school day, even though it takes a lot of time, we feel like it's important. We've been doing weekly self-direction rubrics and kind of helping students focus on not just the academic piece of their school day, but engagement and following directions and quality of work and just all of these other parts of their day that they sometimes need support with. We also send home we call them green sheets, just kind of a reflection about the week, talking about each core class, reflecting on engagement, writing themselves goals for the following week around various activities. And so far we've had a pretty positive response from families and asking students to share these things with their families. We want to continue to do team building opportunities like more hikes and more challenges. We were actually just talking about what do we think our next challenge should be. Melissa, do you want to talk about morning meeting a little bit?
Sure. We have let the students know that we're creating this structure, but the goal is for them to take it over and to have them run it. And like Kaylee said, because we have them for an additional year, I don't see any reason why that wouldn't happen. Students were excited about that. They want to form groups and teams, and I want to be on the meme team. And so they're ready to go. Yeah, they're ready to go. I think we have to get it. I don't know, maybe learn to give it up. I don't know. We're trying to figure out how we'll actually make that happen. When will they be able to get together to plan these things and implement them? How does that work? Where are we going to put that in our day? So that's our next immediate challenge. Continued student feedback. We want to continue to do that. I feel like one thing we didn't say with the data collection, I feel like we have conversations with students all the time. How are things going? You know, as we walk out to recess, how are things going? You know, is there anything that we can do to make things better? Kind of like the reflecting after we do those challenges. What's going well? What isn't going well? How can we get better? I feel like those conversations are happening all the time, and I don't know if that's clearly reflected in our data. And then we also want to include some advisory specific questions on our survey, which we don't currently have. Yeah. Is that our last slide, Kaylee?
Yeah.
Okay. Should we stop? Are we out of time? Because I have like a couple of things I want to reflect. I want to reflect on our project and think about some changes, but I don't want to take up the whole time.
Melissa and Kaylee, first of all, thank you so much for that presentation and all that information. Really appreciate it, and it's really enjoyable to hear teachers talking about their practice and the way that you've thought about it. We do have time for questions, for sure. I think we have like about 15 minutes or so. And if you want to talk more about any aspect of your project, that would be great. And for those folks who are here and watching, if you want to type a message into the chat, or if you just want to raise your hand, that would be great. And Kaylee and Melissa, if you just want to, it's up to you if you want to take some questions and then talk, or if you want to talk some more about some of those observations, you're more than welcome to do that.
Maybe take the questions, because some of that reflecting might come up in the questions, you know.
Sure. Does anybody have a question if you want to raise your hand? Sasha?
Hey there, wonderful presentation. Great to meet you both. I wondered whether I missed it in the keynote in the morning about the data collection and the research project. If you can kind of provide some background in terms of like, is this going towards the school? Is it going to your own? I just kind of wanted to know more about where the research is going, and if it's just for internal to your purposes. And it'd be great to learn a little bit about the kind of planning that you have to do before you start your week. Because I imagine it kind of goes rolling Monday. If you know, how does that look like for you as you try to put together the program for the week?
Good questions. I guess I'll start with the first one. This was really just for us. It wasn't, you know, it wasn't really something that our school was requiring at all. It was just kind of left up to us at the start of the year, kind of how we wanted our advisory time to look. It was expected that we would do something along the lines of a homeroom time, but we kind of had just this big chunk of core time, and it was up to us how we wanted to break it apart throughout the day for our core classes versus recess or snack or read aloud, you know, whatever pieces that we wanted to incorporate. But I think just because of all the kind of newness at the beginning of the year, like all of these new routines and expectations, having a new school and new students and new teachers, it felt really important to us that was the work we wanted to do. Like that's how we wanted to start the year, so that it would feel successful, and it would feel, I guess, yeah, I think it would help having these students for 2 years to be able to start off that way. Does that help answer your question? It was really just for us, just for us.
And then I can answer the second part if you want, Kaylee. Yeah. Okay. So I think the planning part that caught me by surprise, everything is taking so much longer. I plan my week, and I'm lucky if I get through the first 3 days of it. it just seems to be taking a long time, this reflecting, especially on those student kind of self-direction type things, you know, establishing goals, taking the time to assess themselves. We don't assess them like they assess themselves. We can give them some comments on, you know, their engagement, which was one of that was one of the specific things we were looking for in establishing the meeting. One of the results we were hoping for was increased engagement. And I'm not sure if morning meeting is producing that more than they're self-reflecting on it and just having it be there after every class. Okay, think about your engagement. How do you think that went? So I'm not sure about the connection between morning meeting anymore. So I think the planning, we're spending a lot of time planning those green sheets, you know, collecting the data from the week, from their week, reflecting on the data, making sure it's all ready to go, so that students are taking this packet home on Fridays so families can see how their weeks went. A lot of time goes into that.
Melissa, can I just ask a follow-up question? And thank you, Sasha. Those are great questions. And it's just, again, it's really great to hear people being so thoughtful about their practice. And so just to be clear, you're saying that it's taking a lot of time for the reflection and the goal setting. But do you feel like that, do you think that's worth it for the kids to have that practice? And then a follow-up to my follow-up question is, do you think that once you have the kids for 2 years and it becomes part of your culture, that it'll become a little bit more, you know, a little bit quicker, a little bit easier in your practice?
Yeah, I do feel like Kaylee and I both look at that long game kind of idea. So I'm hopeful that by the second year, this will become more of who we are and what we do. But for now, it definitely feels like we are trudging through. We're crawling through, it feels like. But I do think it's worth it, because I specifically, I know Kaylee and I have had conversations about this, but I want students to reflect on them and themselves and their growth. And I also want them to see how they themselves and their growth contribute to the whole group and the whole community. So I know that's something that I circle back to all the time when it feels really tiring. I'm like, no, it's worth it. It's going to be great. Well, you know, we'll see, but I do think it's worth it.
Yeah,
Awesome.
Melissa, that was like really well said. Sorry, Dawn. I guess I'll just add a little bit more. Like, even though it is sometimes a struggle, like it's not easy for students at this point still to reflect on their entire week, and we do it every day. And the number of times that we say the words like green sheet or where's your rubric, or, you know, where's your engagement rubric? I think it can be tiresome, but I agree. I think it's totally worth it. And I do think it has made a difference for the students that are kind of motivated by it. Like, I think they really want to say, yeah, I do feel really good about my engagement this week, or I feel really good about the quality that I'm putting into my work this week, or, you know, how am I during social studies class? Am I able to, you know, I know what's going on, I'm participating, you know, I'm able to do all of these things, because there are so many parts of their day that it's hard to keep all of those things in mind and be able to do them unless there's a little support behind it. So kind of like specifically teaching, well, this is what engagement looks like in your classes, right? I'm able to attend to a task. I'm able to ask for help if I need it. I'm able to talk to other people, you know, in a respectful and responsible way. So unless there's like direct teaching around that, you know, that was really hard for our students at the beginning of the year, but I think it's getting easier.
Yeah.
I have a quick, maybe a quick question. One is, so do you now have those prompts on that green sheet? So that gives them some some prodding. And I guess I love that quote that you had at the beginning. You sort of distilled your focus down to that one quote. And I wondered if you were seeing engagement change in your classes as a result of your morning meeting. And, are you seeing those norms carry through into your academic time? Are the EA teachers seeing it translate? Like that's usually the test, right? Like we have control over who's in front of us right here, but does it, when they leave our space, does it carry through? And I was just curious about that.
Right. I definitely, well, we have received feedback from our other teachers and our guidance counselor that they are noticing a difference in our students, in our team, a positive difference that, they seem to be more, well, I mean, some of it might just be natural, right? They're just more settled in, but they seem to be more engaged, happy to be here. I don't know about respectful, responsible. I mean, those kinds of things depend on sometimes the classroom, but I'll take it, I'll take it when teachers say, you know what, I like when Team Phoenix comes. Yeah. Yeah. I feel like you had another question though. I forget.
I think just, are you seeing it in when it's more of an academic time outside of the advisory time?
Yeah, I don't know, Kayla, if you want to talk about it, but I think the engagement is coming more. It's hard to distill that because I think a lot of the engagement has to do more with the relationships we're building. I don't know if it's necessarily the structure or the routine that's in place. I think that makes them feel safe and comfortable and they know what to expect. But I don't know if they, I think a lot of that crosses over with relationships that are being built. So when they're in our rooms, there's an expectation, there's like a banter, there's, yeah.
Yeah, it's just kind of a part of every day, all day now, just to have it in the back of your mind. So yeah, I would say it does.
Yeah, and I would definitely say students are using the word engagement. So I kind of see that as a win also. They're asking, hey, how was my engagement? And really it's just another opportunity for them to succeed in something, for them to see themselves, not just as a language arts student or as a math student, but like, hey, am I an engaged student? That's something that I feel like they have maybe a little bit more control over.
Yeah, that's a powerful example of self-awareness, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I do love the fact that that's permeating throughout their day, right? So it doesn't stop when it leaves, when they walk out of your classroom. That's a testament.
Right. Well, thank you very much. I'm wondering if anybody has any other questions. I do have in the chat, there's a request. You don't have a link to your green sheets that you could put in the chat, do you? There's a request to see an example of those green sheets. And then just if there's any last questions, we'd be happy to ask them. We have a few minutes left. If not, again, I want to thank Kaylee and Melissa. It's always, for me, it's just amazing to see the work that you did in the summer and how that translates into practice. And I just really appreciate your effort and what you brought to the table this morning. So if anybody else has a question, we'll leave it open for a few minutes. And then again, if you have a link to those green sheets, that would be fantastic.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you. Melissa, are you okay if I share a green sheet link?
Will you please, because you're so much better at that.
It's mostly like students reflect on every class that they have that day, so core classes, and then there's a specific spot for them to write a reflection or set a goal about their self-direction piece. And then we try and have parents sign it, or a home person sign it, and then they return it to us Monday, just so we can, sometimes families leave notes, sometimes they just sign it, but at least there's communication going home. So
Well, it's also this great data that we have, this ongoing data that students can look back on and say, oh my gosh, look how I've grown. Yeah.
It's been great. Thank you so much. So inspiring.
Yes, thank you very much. And thank you for everyone who came and participated. The next session is going to start at 11 o'clock. You can go to your conference map for that. And Kaylee and Melissa, at some other time, I'd love to talk to you about your hiking. We're doing community walks with our students. And I found that in the time of COVID, that's just been a really great way for some low-level socializing, healthy activity. But again, thank you very much for your work. Really appreciate it. And to everybody else for your participation. Head back to the Middle Grades Conference website, and you can see the available options for the next 2 presentations. Thank you, everybody. Stay warm and have a great weekend after the conference. Take care.